Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I met my fiance Roger about 4 years ago, just before the virus. He had recently got divorced. According to him, it was an amicable split due to irreconcilable differences, and I never pried. His first wife Leah passed away 2 years ago from virus, and her death hit him as well as his family really hard. I tried my best to comfort him, but I never really knew her, so I honestly did not know if it was what he needed. I pretty much let him grieve the way he needed to, and it's never really an issue between us. Flash forward. We got engaged almost a year ago, and I found out I was pregnant with our daughter shortly after that. We've talked about kids before, and we both want them, so it's just perfect. He was very attentive and caring throughout the entire pregnancy. Our problem arose, however, around the end of my third trimester. Every year since she passed, around Leah's death anniversary, Roger would go on a camping trip with Leah's family, and this year's trip was about a week before my due date. I told him I was not comfortable with him being away when I was so close to giving birth, and he began talking about how important the trip was to Leah's family and his healing process. He offered to call his mom and sister-in-law to stay with me, and that he would no doubt be back before our baby was born, so I should not be so unnecessarily stressed about this. We had a huge argument about it, and he ended up still leaving for the camping trip. I went into labor the next day, and despite me letting my fiancé know when the contractions started, when I FaceTimed him hours later to ask him if he was near, I found him still at the camping site, just now preparing to leave. According to him, first birth takes a very long time, so he would still have plenty of time to make it. I was so mad. After we went home, I told him I needed time to rethink our engagement. For now, we are still living in the same house, but he's been sleeping in the living room. I've been looking at apartments and seeing if I can move out if it comes to it. He deeply hurt me by leaving me to give birth on my own, and I am not comfortable with married life if this continues to happen. Roger deserves to grieve for Leah, but now that I have a child, I can't accept it if his griefs will impact her. Roger said it was just a one-time thing, but when I asked him if he would continue going on Leah's family camping trip every year, if it coincided with our daughter's birthday, and he would not give me a straight answer. This is the worst time for a breakup, and I do not want to take my daughter's chance of a happy family away from her, but I don't know if I can ever get past this. Would I be the a-hole to just end this relationship right now? He chose to not show up for the birth of his daughter, and he is already making it obvious that he will keep choosing his dead wife over the kid every year in the future. Roger is a complete a-hole, not because he is grieving someone he once loved, but because he never should have gotten in a relationship with OP, much less gotten her pregnant. He wasn't ready then, and he's not ready now. I don't think I could forgive that if I was in OP's place. Could you guys? And now let's hear the community's opinion. Blau Blaum says, he divorced with Leah 4 years ago. She died 2 years ago. The 1-year anniversary happened last year, so now it was the 2nd year. So 1, this wasn't his late wife. This is an ex-wife that died. And 2, this isn't a standard trip he does. It only happened once. And 3, your pregnancy and birth should be #1 priority compared to his ex's family. Much Merengue 7467 says, he's not ready to remarry. I'm sorry you made a baby before realizing that. Unlucky You 3574 says, not the a-hole. This guy can't definitively say he won't skip out on your daughter's birthday every year? Nope. It would be easier to explain his absence on her birthdays if you were both separated. I, 17 female, lost my dad when I was 5. My parents were married, but I remember Dad being more present in my early memories than Mom, and when my dad died, I know my mom wasn't there for me. She left me to raise myself, or she roped in some extended family to take care of me, usually grandparents. But she wouldn't always do that, and I was sort of forced to become independent and more mature in some ways to raise myself. Like, I had to make sure I ate, did homework, got to school on time, all without my mom helping me. The most she'd do is make some food, but she wouldn't even tell me she had. I usually had to search the fridge to find it. My grandparents were the ones who celebrated my birthdays with me, and they were the ones who typically went to my school for parent conferences. My mom doesn't know me. She couldn't tell you what classes I take in high school, what my favorite food or color is, who my friends and best friends are. Nothing. 5 years ago, she met her husband Sam, and pretty quickly, like before they were living together, my mom got pregnant. So Sam moved in and my mom married him. Her daughter was born 4 years ago, and her son followed along 2 years ago. And right away, I see the difference in how my mom is with him. She knows them, she loves them, she dedicates time to them, she advocates for them. All the things I do not remember her ever doing for me. She eats with them and plays with them, and she takes her daughter to preschool every day and takes her for a treat after. It sucks to see. I didn't get a good mom, but I see she had it in her to be a good mom and chose not to be. Sam isn't as good as my dad was, though, but he's still better than my mom ever was to me. Last week, my mom asked me to babysit for her and Sam, and I said no. My mom was shocked and asked me why I wouldn't babysit. I told her I had work and I had plans with friends. She told me she would have expected me to want time with the kids. I told her I don't want time with her do-over family. She asked me what that meant, and I said Sam and the kids are her do-over family. She is a better mom to her younger kids, and she and Sam have created their own perfect little family with them and their kids. But she was never that for me. I told her I have zero interest in helping her out with the do-over family, and I pointed out that it was the most she had said to me in years, because she normally doesn't talk to me or include me in anything, and the only reason she was speaking to me is she wanted something. She was all, "How dare you say that about Sam and the kids?" And she told me I had an awful attitude, and she hopes the kids never pick up on how I feel about them and their dad. She told me they deserve better than being described that way, and she told me that I had some nerve to be jealous that her kids have a happy family life. I laughed and told her she only cared about them, and that was clear. She called me a nasty little bee. Am I the a-hole? It sounds like OP's mother is trying to deflect her truth onto her husband and OP's siblings, rather than facing the fact she is the one who is the problem. OP's mom is guilty, and she knows it. Also, what mother calls their child a bee? She's blocked out what OP said about her because she doesn't want to recognize how bad she was as a parent to OP. Honestly, it sounds like OP's mom never loved OP's dad or wanted a child with him, and those apathetic, indifferent feelings were thrown OP's way. I say this as OP's mother wasn't very present before OP's father died. The fact OP's mother called OP jealous of her new kids' lives really made this point clear to me. OP needs to save money and move away when she turns 18, as I can imagine how painful it is to watch that happy family to OP. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Blue Blana Fufana says, I mean, no, not the a-hole. You are right, and we're blunt about it. Your mom didn't want to hear your truth. It sounds like you have your head screwed on right, but I would start making plans for when you get out of there. College is amazing. You can find your own chosen family. Comfortable C2454 says, not the a-hole. Your egg donor with a uterus was not there for you. She is now for her second chance family. You owe her nothing. My mom doesn't know me. She couldn't tell you what classes I take in high school, what my favorite food or color is, who my friends and best friends are. Nothing. If she brings this up again, ask her these questions and see what her answers are. When she can't answer, she will throw a fit, but you will have made your point with her. Mrs. Palm Mummy says, not the a-hole. Your mom wasn't and isn't there for you, and it must really hurt to see her be the mom you had wished for. You understandably lashed out at her, and in response, she cussed you out, which is not acceptable. You didn't attack the kids. You absolutely directed your anger at the right recipient. Hold out. It's going to be better, and you'll be able to find your chosen family, or be with the family members you want to be with soon. I, 53 male, want to be honest. I was a wreck of a person during my first marriage, which lasted 14 years. My first wife, Amy, and I were 22 when we married. I had dropped out of college to start a business. The business did miserably, and I had already had issues stemming from the after effects of my aggressive mother. I entered a cycle of drinking and self-sabotage. Amy always wanted to become a speech-language pathologist, and when we were dating, I talked about my plan to make enough to put her through the required master's program by the time we were in our late 20s. So I felt like a failure for not being able to do that, and distanced myself from her. I was left taking care of our daughters, now 29 female and 27 female, while my wife dealt with debts incurred due to me personally guaranteeing business loans and using my credit cards to pay expenses at the end. I was drinking, went to rehab several times, and Amy resented me and constantly complained about her struggles finding a well-paying job with a communications degree. I finally got a minimum wage job, hated it, and was so depressed that I took the money from my paycheck and put down a deposit on an apartment 2 states away. Amy divorced me, and I lost contact with the kids. That was when I hit rock bottom and woke up. I stopped the sick, self-fulfilling prophecy loop I was in. I got a degree, started another business. I'm now married to my second wife, Dina, 26 female, 3 years ago, and we have a 2-year-old son. However, even though me and my 2 other kids are in more constant communication, talking with them brings up very unpleasant memories, and I can feel the resentment. I told Dina that therapy with them felt counterproductive, and she said since I apologized, I had to just leave the ball in their court about whether they would accept or not, and if they don't see my sincerity, then that's their issue. So my relationship with him is at a civil point. I try to make it up by being the best dad to our son and working hard so he'll never have to struggle for money or opportunities in life. Dina was fine with him coming to the wedding, but it seemed strange to broach it. Now I'm getting an award by a professional organization, and all honorees can get their guests in the event for free, as long as you RSVP them. My 2 other kids know about this event. Amy apparently knows I have the opportunity of inviting them and allegedly encouraged them to ask. I got a text from one of them where they were hinting at being there to support me, saying, "Despite our differences, we are proud of you and hope we are able to celebrate important life events with you from now on." It took me a while to respond properly, and I just accepted the congratulations and said I was grateful for the recognition. But the next time I talked to one of them, they were icy and seemed disappointed. It is too late to RSVP now, but apparently Amy had to chime in and say I should have taken the initiative to invite them. Am I the a-hole? Part of recovery is making amends instead of avoiding past mistakes. OP's older children have extended an olive branch to OP. I think OP has a lot more work to do in therapy to make peace with his past. And being a good father to one child doesn't make you a good father. I really feel sorry for OP's children. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Some Selection 1811 says, "You're the a-hole, and I pity your children. Talking with them brings up very unpleasant memories, and I can feel the resentment. You need solo therapy, stat." Beck 2010 says, "Good news, you're consistent. You were a poor father then, and you still are. You're the a-hole." Jigglypuff 17 says, "You're the a-hole. Ignoring the fact that in your mid-50s, you married and had a child with a then 23-year-old who was younger than your daughters. You were a piece of crap father to them, abandoned them, refused therapy with them, and think they should accept some half-hearted apology from you and beg for invitations to see you and celebrate with you, while you give your new family the life you denied them. Duck all the way off, dude. You don't deserve their forgiveness, their time, or their love." A few days ago, my ex-husband mistakenly transferred 2 payments of $8,700 and $9,275. He did this at around 7:40 a.m. in the morning, and I didn't notice because I worked a night shift and was getting ready for bed, so my phone was charging on the nightstand. At the same time, my 4 children were at my parents', and so I planned to sleep away half the day. I guess he realized his mistake around 8:30 a.m., and by then I was dead asleep. I woke up at around 4 p.m. to at least 100 missed calls and maybe 150 texts, asking and begging me to send him back the money. My initial thoughts were to send it back, but then I remembered he owed me $12,000 and hasn't paid me back since I lent it to him 4 years ago, and he's had a million excuses why he can't pay me back, and yet I always see him living it up. I kept the amount he owed me and returned only $5,975 and told him I deducted his debt. Since then, I've had him call me every name in the book because this was apparently money he was saving to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring, the engagement ring venue, etc. So, according to him, he had to tell her. This then led to it ruining the surprise engagement he planned for the next weekend. His girlfriend has been bad-mouthing me, and it has caused a bit of a crap storm with me having to shut down my social media, and even his parents, who I had a cordial relationship with, have been impacted by it. I discussed the situation with a friend and colleague, and it was overheard by another colleague, and he has called what I did a jerk move, and I guess he shared it with a couple of other people, and now I'm not sure anymore on whether I am being an a-hole or not. Is this an a-hole move? Edit. The money was loaned to him after our divorce. We've been divorced for 7 years. And I loaned him the money 4 years ago after he had lost his job and fell behind on bills and his rent. This has nothing to do with his child support payments, of which he is also behind on. And that's being handled by family court. There are texts of him asking for a loan, and it included a repayment plan and time, but he never stuck to it. So there's a legal trail if he ever decided to involve the law. But I seriously doubt he would, because it would cost way more to sue me, and I think I would have won in court since I only deducted his debt to me. Yes, he is the father of our 4 kids. Edit 2. Yes, I could have sued him for the debt, but it would have cost me way more to hire a lawyer. Suing someone isn't cheap. Lawyers cost real money, and a lawsuit takes real time. Isn't karma a witch? He owed OP for 4 years, and now he transferred back the remaining amount. Buongiorno Italy says, to be fair, he has owed you $12,000 for 4 years. His priorities should have been clearing his debt and then saving for an engagement ring, especially when he clearly had the money. Also, surely he can find an engagement ring for $6,000. Not the a-hole. You only kept what you were owed. Sunshine Shoulders 87 says, not the a-hole. He owed you money and finally repaid it. Additionally, he didn't have to tell his girlfriend anything and just planned for a little bit later. But then he wouldn't be able to drag you through the dirt. So I guess you have to decide how badly you needed your money back. And I'm going to guess $12,000 is a lot more valuable than people who take the side of someone like that. OK Homework 8692 says, not the a-hole. Amusing how he can afford an almost $20,000 ring, but can't afford to pay you back. Keep the money and let them run their mouths.